Scalping. It's a problem that is prevalent in a variety of industries and markets. Over the past couple of years, the GPU market especially has had scalping become more profound. But I've got some great news to share with you guys that I'm sure you'll be happy to hear about. Along with that, the 4080 may also be getting a price cut. Let's discuss that in this video. Hey, if you enjoy content like this, drop a like, make sure to subscribe, and smash that bell so you never miss another video. Hey, what is going on guys? Danny here, welcome back to the channel and I hope you've all been doing well. It's been almost 3 weeks since the RTX 4080 has hit store shelves. We previously talked about how this graphics card isn't really selling all that well, mainly because of its terrible price to performance compared to previous gen X80 class cards, and how it's priced way too closely to an RTX 4090. At that point, the general consensus is that you should just buy the 4090 or hunt for a deal on a last gen card. We obviously don't have official confirmation that this is Nvidia's intention all along, where the 4080 was just a upsell or downsell tactic where they never really cared about selling the card anyway in the first place, because they just wanted people to buy the more expensive 4090 or get the cheaper last gen options. It sure seemed that way though, so you can't really blame people for thinking that way. I mean, Nvidia has market analysts. They know how the market will react to price increases, so even though at face value it may seem like they're out of touch with reality, that's probably not the case. They know what they're doing. With that said, the 4080 has gotten a really poor reception from reviewers and consumers. Hence, you see loads of these graphics cards sitting on shelves at retailers around the world. And it was so bad that it didn't even sell out at day one, which is kind of a big deal for Nvidia these days. However, a group that was either living under a rock these past few months, or decided to take their chances anyways for who knows what reason, were the scalpers. Now, scalping is a problem in a wide variety of industries and markets. It's basically when someone buys a product that's highly sought after, which can be a game console, graphics cards, tickets to a concert, limited edition shoes, and more, and then buy it with the intention of just reselling it for a profit. When you have such a product that's highly in demand and it's getting sold out from retailers instantly, then you'll have desperate folks that will buy from these scalpers even though they'll be charging well above MSRP. We're talking a few hundred, double the price, sometimes more. This problem was especially rampant in the GPU market over the last 2 years because we were already going through a GPU shortage because of COVID. People were locked inside their homes and wanted to build gaming PCs. Along with that, there was a mining boom, so you had crypto miners who were basically after every graphics card they could get their hands on. You might be thinking, that's stupid, and you're right, it is. It's hard to believe people were actually buying RTX 3080s at one point for like $1,500 if not more. But if the market is there, if the demand is there, then this is what enables this behavior. As gamers, you'll often see people complaining about microtransactions, loot boxes, and gambling mechanics in video games that inherently have no business being there, but if people are feeding the problem financially, then that's why it still exists. Game devs who wouldn't continue to add these mechanics into video games if there was nobody buying into them. If you go over on the Halo subreddit, you'll often find people making a mockery of 343 Industries because they charge you like $20 for the color blue, when that used to be free in the previous video games. However, if you play the game online, you'll see people in matches rocking these color schemes from the in-game store and these custom armor sets. So even though it seems like everyone is complaining, you also have people on the other hand happily giving away their money. But going back to the topic on hand, if the scalpers are successfully able to flip the graphics cards for well above MSRP, then you can bet your frame rates they will do it again. However, what is different this time is that there were scalpers who bought the 4080s thinking they would be able to make a quick buck by flipping them, but they failed to realize nobody wanted the RTX 4080 to begin with. Since day one, you could have walked into your local computer parts retailer and picked up an RTX 4080. Scalpers seriously overestimated the demand for this GPU, thinking they would be sold out and then there would be desperate consumers who would turn to them. Since that's not happening, these scalpers are left with their own inventory of cards they can't sell off. Nobody wants them, and they wouldn't want one especially from a scalper. Now, one might be thinking, well, can't they just return the cards after they bought them? I mean, most places have a 15 or 30-day return policy, and you'd be right, but now I'm noticing retailers, at least here in North America, are not allowing returns on graphics cards. If you go to Newegg, for example, search for an RTX 4080, specifically look at the returns and warranty section, while they'll have a portion which talks about their extended holiday return, if you look below, it explicitly states returns for refund within, and then it says non-refundable, which means you can't return it. You can exchange it, but only if it's defective. When I was at my local Canada Computers, the reps had also said they've been denying refunds for scalpers attempting to return a large number of cards, all because their gamble failed and they couldn't make a quick buck. Which is interesting because their policy hasn't been updated on their site to reflect that, but returns are also at the store's discretion from what the manager told me. I'm not sure if this is starting to become the norm at numerous other retailers around the world, so if you guys want to chime in down in the comments, let me know. Honestly, if you were to ask me, I'm glad retailers are turning away scalpers. Scalping is absolutely despicable if you ask me, because it further exacerbates the problem of a shortage and artificially inflates their value, making the product even harder to attain. And if someone wants to buy a bunch of GPUs for the sole purpose of scalping, but then they can't get out of it, consequence free, because the market isn't what they thought, that's on them. The retailer shouldn't have to deal with their mistake. The return process isn't actually as simple as you guys think it is. The retailer has to inspect all the returns, make sure it's in sellable condition, they have to match the serial numbers, and that obviously involves opening up the packaging. Thus now the graphics card is now considered open box, so the retailer has to discount it. So if retailers want to deny refunds to these scalpers because they just don't want to go through that hassle, that's totally fine in my eyes. It's not their fault that their gamble failed. There was a post over on the /r/PC Master Race subreddit that gained a lot of traction. Here, a user has shared a screenshot from what I believe is Facebook Marketplace. In the description, the seller writes, "Market isn't what I thought, so instead of sending back to the manufacturer, you can get them from me at MSRP. Still very hard to get, although that's false. Receipts in hand, all are sealed brand new." The original user wrote he hopes this person is left holding the bag, and honestly, I feel the same way. Also, why would anyone choose to buy graphics cards from them even at MSRP when you can go to Best Buy or Newegg and pick up a graphics card from them? You get the benefit of having in-store returns or online returns, exchanges, and a proof of purchase. So this person is going to have to sell below MSRP at a loss. Otherwise, they're going to be left with the bag, but they'll get no sympathy from me. And I'm betting a lot of them bought these cards on credit and are now panicking. Even here in the greater Toronto area, on Kijiji, which is a third-party marketplace we use, there are people trying to sell RTX 4080s for above MSRP, or higher than what they retail at actual retailers. Really not sure who they're trying to take advantage of, when here in Canada, people aren't even picking up 4080s from retailers. Nonetheless, I'm glad the retailers are turning these guys away. Hopefully it discourages scalping from happening with future releases, and I'm sure most of you guys were also happy to hear about it. Now, moving on, and a rumor popped up recently that talks about Nvidia is considering an official price cut for the RTX 4080 by mid-December. WCCF Tech reported this over on their website. They're referring to a tweet made by Harukaze, who is sourcing my drivers from China. He emphasizes that the price cut isn't due to Nvidia feeling threatened by AMD's RX 7900 XTX, which is also expected to hit store shelves in mid-December. He mentioned that the price cut will be to bring the 4080 down to a more appropriate level, to improve price to performance and stimulate sales. I can definitely agree with the statement that Nvidia isn't doing this because they feel threatened by AMD. I explained this in one of my previous videos recently, but Nvidia has a huge chunk of the market share. They don't care about AMD. I think what's happening is that supply for the RTX 30 series is finally starting to dry up now, so Nvidia is gradually starting to focus on their current Gen 40 series lineup. If you go back and watch Gamers Nexus's review on when EVGA left Nvidia, they had a portion in their review where they talked about EVGA plans to continue to sell cards, and they think they'll have supply for their current Gen 30 series cards up until late 2022. And I think that might have also been the case for a lot of other AIBs. Another subject I talked about recently, which kind of relates to what I just said, if you go online and try to find a 3090 Ti or 3080 Ti, it's difficult. A lot of places don't even have them in stock, and if they do, they're selling above MSRP, which is usually a sign of little to no supply. As to what the price cut will be, they haven't mentioned, but I think what will be more likely is that there will be a price cut to $999. Ideally, I would like to see the card get a price cut to $799, as that's where I think it should have launched at to begin with, but Nvidia isn't going to commit to a $400 price drop already. If they do drop it down to $999, this will make things quite interesting, as it will be competing directly with the 7900 XTX. The main arguments here will be if you want more rasterization performance, go with AMD, or if you care about good ray tracing performance, then you go with Nvidia. Though it's not as simple as that, and like I explained, because of Nvidia's mindshare, what will happen is that the vast majority of consumers in this space will flock towards Nvidia. The recent video where I talked about Nvidia's RTX 30 series supply has done really well. It got a lot of views, and I got a lot of comments on that video from people who mentioned they're just done with Nvidia and will now buy the RX 7900 XTX. But what do you think will happen if Nvidia drops the price to $999 for the 4080? I wouldn't be surprised to see people flip back and say, well, thanks AMD, time to go buy a 4080. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, like, it's like I'm blaming the consumer here. It's AMD's job to retain those customers and convince them to pick their product instead of the 4080. If all it takes is a price drop to change people's minds, then that's an AMD problem. I'm also wondering what kind of impact this will have on Nvidia's upcoming RTX 4070 Ti. If they drop down the price of the 4080 down to $999, then I can't see the 4070 Ti being more than $750. The release of the 7900 XTX is right around the corner, so definitely be on the lookout as I expect things in the GPU market to get even more interesting next week. If you guys found this video to be informative and entertaining, then leave a like. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. Be sure to check out the video description for cool links and ways to support the channel, such as using my Amazon affiliate link. And if you're interested in seeing more content like this, then consider subscribing. I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.